Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Looks over the middle, second guesses, fires, throws. Does he make the catch in the end zone? Yes! Touchdown! Oladipo to win it.
Another one! Another one! Huge hole! He's at the 30! He's gonna go! 10, 5, touchdown! Jonathan Taylor!
Worked down by Burke. Bounces into Cody. Puts it up. Scores!
Now, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Welcome aboard, everybody. How are you? We have made it to the midway point. It's hump day. Wednesday. Looking forward to another fun show. Derrick Jackson will be joining us. Bob Kravitz from The Athletic. Rick Bozich from WDRB.com. Kyler Staley from thehoosier.com. Plenty to talk about. College football is kind of in the books. That except for the constant churn of coaches and players, of course, as the portal turns. I guess someone should start a show by that title. There you go. As the portal turns. It's all basketball now, folks. Football is in the books. And whether some people follow the NBA as well, but especially if you're a college basketball fan like myself or college sports fan, which is I prefer, it's on. This past Saturday, the U.S. Marines NIBC series made a stop at the LaPorte Civic Auditorium. We talked about that. 4 high-profile games with teams from Indiana, Florida, South Carolina, Maryland, Virginia, and Utah. The Hoosier.com was up there all day. Saw Jalen Hood-Schifino. According to the Rivals 150 prospect rankings, he came into the event as the 7th-ranked player in the 2022 class that competed there. Over the course of the 3 games in 3 days, he averaged 8 points on 10 of 30 shooting and almost 7 assists per game. That's nice. That's a big fat number there. So I'm thinking about potentially someone made a comment yesterday. Montverde has a tournament coming up. Thinking about taking the show on the road and going down there to check that out. Indiana also with a few other guys that they are looking at on that program. So gives me the reason to do that. How are you guys? Jesse, Michael, hope you guys are doing well. As everybody pops on, hope you're ready for another good day. Looking forward to talking to Bob Kravitz. I'm sure I cannot wait to hear his take on the Colts and their just emphatic boom to the season. Horrible. But it is what it is. Rick Bozich, of course, from WDRB.com. Looking forward to talking to him about a myriad of things. Something I was thinking about, and I need to pull up the top 25. Remember the teams that were a part of the FBI investigation? How many of those teams are ranked in the top 25 basketball poll right now? Because I remember seeing teams that, I remember talking about it yesterday. Wasn't USC one of those teams? All right, so there's that. Pull that up. And then teams involved in the FBI. I know it was teams in college basketball teams. Remember the FBI, the teams that were involved in that, remember who they were? Kansas, Oklahoma State, USC, Louisville, Auburn. Remember those programs? If you look at the top 25 today, right now, you see USC. I remember talking about this yesterday. I'm like, when the hell has USC been good in basketball? I mentioned this yesterday. Number 4, Auburn. Number 5, USC. Number 6, Arizona. Number 9, Kansas. Number 12, LSU. Those are the teams that are just currently in the top 25 poll. There was only, 8 teams maybe? And I just listed all 4 of them right there that are still flying high. Louisville is just not having a very good season. I'm not sure things are going, how well things are going for Chris Mack down there. Recruiting seems okay. Good morning yourself, Jim B. Tom's traveling to Arizona. Yeah, Auburn's the number 1 seed now. That is exactly. It does. That's the whole point. It paid to cheat. I've had that conversation a lot. Those teams, all those teams that I just listed, Louisville's the one that I'm going to be surprised to see what happens, because they were already on probation for committing major violations when they committed another major violation. Back in the day, death penalty, no longer, but it's going to be interesting to see what they do with those. Former Indiana recruit Jeremy Fears, he committed to Michigan State a few days back. He's just the 5th top 35 prospect in the 2023 class to make a decision already. Chose the Spartans over Illinois and Michigan. The quote, they have a history of winning, and Tom Izzo is a Hall of Fame coach. You think? You got that right. You didn't have to go far. Yeah, Auburn jumped up to a 1. What was that? Last night I was watching the finish to that Auburn-Alabama game. That was fun. You had Baylor getting knocked off last night. Number 1 Baylor. Texas Tech with a big win. And that was on the road, folks. Number 1 Baylor goes down, which, hey, if you play in a legit conference, I don't care who you are, how good you are, you're going to go down. So it's not like that's a big shock. Now, if it's Gonzaga out in their conference, well, that would be big news. But Baylor loses 65-62. At home, a little surprising. Their first loss of the season, 15-1 now, 3-1 of the Big 12. Auburn, 81-77. That was a fun game to watch. Auburn had a 14-point lead, I think. And Alabama, they let Alabama go on a 14-0 run, maybe a 16-0 run. They tied, took the lead at one point, but Auburn was able to hang on at the end. 81-77, like I said, on the road at Alabama. Number 4 Auburn at number 24 Alabama. And that's another thing I was thinking of. What the hell is the world coming to with all these SEC teams ranked? No ACC teams, minus Duke. There's I can see Auburn and Alabama and Kentucky out of the as they beat Vanderbilt last night. Didn't exactly drum them, 78-66, number 18 Kentucky. Kansas holds on at home, 62-61, a tight one. Number 9, Kansas over number 15, Iowa State. Some good games last night. Stanford, I talked about USC. They went down last night, 75-69 on the road at the Cardinal. Texas at home to Oklahoma, number 21 Texas. They 66-52. Tennessee easily handled South Carolina. Illinois, Nebraska. Another game that's a 10-point game, which that's a close game. Most of the times that's a close game because your people are hitting free throws at the end. But anyway, another game for Nebraska that's tight, but they're 0-6 in the Big Ten. One of the places Indiana has to go to soon. Why I mentioned that. They're playing teams close. Purdue, Michigan postponed. Providence, Creighton postponed. So there was that from last night. Come on, man. I want today. What is today's going on? Tomorrow night, of course, Indiana's traveling to Iowa. We'll be there for that. It's a nice upset by Texas Tech. Indiana needs a road win. Now, they'll have a few more opportunities after this one, or after this trip, but you come back home to face a Purdue program. So you look at who they're playing, and those are both winnable games. At Nebraska, at Iowa. Indiana plays Iowa well anyway, has been lately. But there would be nothing bigger for Indiana than to pick up back-to-back road wins to go along with these back-to-back wins that they have currently before they welcome in Purdue at home. Just continued confidence by that team is what they need. Now, that would not be good for Purdue. I think for Indiana to win those 4 games in a row to get that confidence. The only thing that worries me is, are they over their big-headedness like they suffered in the Wisconsin game? That's what happened. They got up 22 points, chest all swelled up until Wisconsin poked a big old hole in that balloon in the second half. But it will be interesting to see. Hey, we got plenty more coming up. Plenty of guests today. Derrick Jackson will be joining us. Bob Kravitz from The Athletic. Rick Bozich from WDRB.com. Kyler Staley from TheHoosier.com. We got lots to talk about. Back with the start of it right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Whether it's a celebration.
You still have one more segment before Bob shows up. For Big Bad Bob.
Big Bob. Big Bad Bob.
Yeah.
Big Bad Bob.
We'll be sure to throw a little of the Jim Mora when Bob shows up. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Someone's dog's out there barking early this morning.
Someone. Baby, it's cold outside. Shut up.
It's probably the right behind us is a big old German Shepherd, Australian Shepherd mix, and he's loud. So I'm sure that's probably him. I got one more thing to grab. I'll be right back. Okay. Let me go ahead and bring this in.
As well as coverage of the Big Ten. Simply go to thehoosier.com and sign up. It's free. You can also catch Indiana Sports Beat Radio there each day at your convenience, or you can find it any place you podcast or on this station each weekday. If we're not on the station where you live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
This segment is brought to you by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Welcome back. I hope your week's going well. Your day's off to a good start. We're midway through. And it looks like it's going to be another good day out there. Boy, can looks be deceiving. It's still too daggone cold for me. Too cold for me. I'm ready for some 80-degree weather. But that would mean no basketball. As tonight in the Big Ten, just 2 games. Number 10, Michigan State hosting Minnesota. And Northwestern hosts Maryland. 7 and 9 p.m. games there. Both of those on the BTN. Of course, tomorrow, number 16, that's a great game right there. Number 16, Ohio State at number 13, Wisconsin. That'll be interesting to see, the 7 o'clock game. Then, of course, the late game, the 9 o'clocker from Iowa City, Indiana, traveling to take on the Hawkeyes. The start of a 2-game road swing for them, as after that game, they will move on to Nebraska before coming back to host Purdue. Does Indiana have a chance to beat Purdue at home? Yeah, absolutely. Of course, that game's a few games away, so I'm not going to get too far into that. We'll wait till that game comes around. But yes, if they play like they can play. No, if they play like they have played in certain games. It's pretty simple. Yeah, Michigan having a problem, man. They've already had games postponed against Michigan State and Purdue, and I've talked about this. Now there's talk that they may not be able to play against Illinois, but we don't know. We'll have to wait to see. But that would be 3 games that they have to make up. That's going to be some scheduling issues, but you do it. You have situations, I guess, where you can play back-to-back games. Glenn making sure that we saw that the Seminoles beat Miami 65-64. Tight game. Well, always have a chance against Purdue? Yeah, not lately. Can't say that I agree with that. But, yes, Defense is a different animal this year for Indiana. I'm curious how, if Trace Jackson, and I don't want to get talking about a game that's 3 games away, even though it's a bigger game, so I don't want to get into that, but we'll talk about that when it rolls around. But the keys are going to be, does Indiana hit shots, and what do they do with Zach Edey and Travion Williams? Those guys don't usually play at the same time as opposed to Trace and Race, so it'll be interesting to see how that works out. Oh, well. We don't want to get too far into that, like I said. What else is going on? I talked about USC. That's before going down last night. They hit that's the highest ranking they've hit in nearly 5 decades in the AP Top 25. And I bring that up again because of what I was talking about a minute ago. Highest rank in 50 years. Coincidence. Conveniently, right after they were one of the teams involved in this investigation. Auburn. Not exactly a stalwart in college basketball. All of a sudden, they're a top 5 team. Funny. Arizona. Now, they have been a good program, obviously, but to go what they've gone through and be where they are right now, how the hell do you do that? Getting it done, though. Of course, we'll probably have a new number 1 next week. Why? I don't know. Does Baylor still? I don't know that Baylor is still not the number 1 team in the country. Just
Here's
because they
a question for you,
lose.
Jim. It's kind of a hypothetical, but the past couple of days, you talked a lot about what if Indiana had been this? What if they were 14-1 or 15-0 or whatever? If they only had 1 loss right now, and let's just say that loss was to Wisconsin, what ranking? Where do you think they'd be in the top 25 right now?
20 to 25.
I'm just curious.
I mean, they hadn't beaten anyone up until Ohio State, which that was the best win, the best game they've played all season. But if they lost, if their loss was a conference loss, had they gone to Syracuse and taken care of business, even a 22-point loss at Wisconsin, maybe you forgive because of all the mental stuff that's going on with that and the history and the yada, yada, but they'd still only be, you have to look at the numbers. They are ranked, and I mentioned this yesterday, right now, they are ranked in like 31st in the AP top 25. If you want to just take those receiving numbers out, they're 31st. Well, look at Ken Palm numbers. Boy, right in there. Look at Joe Lenardi, 8 seed, 28 to 32, right in there. So I don't know that it would make a big difference, but losing to a Syracuse, yeah, that didn't help. Losing to Penn State, it didn't help. But
giving up one you really should have had at Wisconsin. Excuse me.
Well, you should have had all 3 of those games if you want to be honest with you.
I mean, imagine they would be 15-0 in the last unbeaten, because that's not really the hardest schedule in the world right there.
No. I mean, and I hate doing that coulda, woulda, shoulda stuff. It's ridiculous. But, man, I said this yesterday. Indiana's been very fortunate and will be very fortunate from a scheduling aspect of this season. The Big Ten schedule is laid out in their favor. They don't have to return a trip to Michigan. They don't have to return a trip to Michigan State, I don't think. It's set up for them to get into this first year under Mike Woodson. They just have to take advantage of it, giving up 2 easy ones with Penn State and losses at Penn State and Wisconsin, because, yeah, that would make a huge difference for this team. They would be freaking undefeated in conference play. Now, had they not lost that Wisconsin game and were unbeaten, that changes the scenario. Losing that one game keeps them just into 2025. If they're unbeaten, they're anywhere from 10 to 15, maybe in the top 10.
Yeah.
Definitely in the
And
top
that's
10.
crazy
You're
to
still
think
unbeaten.
about.
It is.
Because that seems like that's where the ceiling is for this team right
They're
now.
that
We've also
close,
seen,
but they're that close to being a top 10 team.
yeah. They're also this close to being out of the tournament.
Being considered a top 10 team. I'm not saying they're a top 10 team. Let me be
that's
clear
fair
about that. But that's another thing. Would that make Indiana a top 10 team had they won those games? I don't think so. They're not a top 10 team right now, but they would have been viewed as one as such had they simply won those games. But I don't think that they're not a top 10 team at the moment. I'm not saying they can't get there. They can. They continue playing like they have been with shooting and inside play and tremendous defense. Damn right. That's what a top 10 team is made out of. So
the best teams, they always say, at least in the era of all these metrics and all that kind of stuff, the teams that are in the top 20 in both offensive and defensive efficiency or something like that, those are the ones that you really need to look at in terms of not just who's going to be in the tournament, but who's going to have a chance.
It's all about balance. It's balance, because that means every team has to focus on you on both ends of the floor. Whereas a Tom Crean-esque team, they're not going to play a lick of defense.
Nope.
But they're going to run your ass up and down the floor, and they're going to try to score 85 points or 88, 90 points. And so that's what you have to deal with. But if you have a team that is balanced, that you're challenged with defensively by guarding them, and then on the opposite end, you're challenged by their defensive tenacity and success. It's like playing pickup ball, man. You always hate when you get that guy. He's not the best player. He's definitely not the tallest player, but he's going to be like a water gnat. He's going to be all over you. He's going to just drive you insane. And that's what playing great defense does. It drives you nuts because you're always in their face. You're not giving them the looks they want. And it frustrates the offense. They're not getting the looks. They're not seeing the lanes. And it starts to frustrate. That's what breaks an offense down. Just continuing playing good defense frustrates an offense, forces them to do other things. This team is light years ahead because of that. The offense can come. We've seen it come and go. Shooting has come, but it continues to get closer to being a more permanent type thing. Defense, pretty damn solid all year. And I think they're starting to take pride in that. You see those numbers and you're like, oh, well, we're the tops in the Big Ten. We're one of the tops in the country. You take pride in that. Rob Finney comes in off the bench. Yeah, he's lighting it up the other night, but his defense was a prominent piece of what was going on. And that's the thing that I think kids have to learn faster today. Coming out of high school or wherever you're coming from, you got to play defense now. Logan Duncan, not picking on him. Besides needing to add weight, he's freshman. I'd say that's probably one of the reasons you don't see him getting into play right now. Defense. He's just behind. Freshman, learning. You got Michael Durr, Trace in front of him. But you have to be able to play that level of defense that Race and Trace and Michael Durr are playing. And he's probably not there yet, but he's getting that because he's playing against those guys every day. You continue to bring that kind of talent in. And that's exactly what Mike Woodson is doing. I like the fact that he is building his program. He's not building it off of the portal. I'm not saying he's not going to use the portal. There is no one that is not going to use the portal. It's going to be virtually impossible to not use the portal because it's going to be almost impossible for teams to not lose a member. In football, forget it. There's no way you don't lose people. That's a given. But in basketball, I like Mike Woodson is building his program with solid recruits like a Tamar Bates. All right. Tamar Bates is a solid recruit. He's not a come in 5-star, take over, dominate kind of guy, but he's going to be here for another year at least, potentially 3 years. You get 3 years out of a Tamar Bates, now you're getting something done. That's where that one and done model doesn't accomplish something that this does. They grow, they become members of the team, and it benefits all the way across the board. Michael just wants to get Indiana into the tournament. They can worry about rank. Yeah, rankings are stupid. Who cares? People, that's a fans thing. Yeah, I know it's nice for the fans to be able to say, oh, yeah, who cares? It doesn't mean jack squat. Michigan played in the college football playoffs this year. Guess where they were ranked at the start of the college football season? The old Bobby Knight. Goose eggs, baby. They were unranked. Rankings don't mean diddly squat. Somebody's opinion. So, yeah, you got winning games. You win these next 2 road games, there's no way that Indiana wouldn't be ranked. That would be, 4 straight wins in the Big Ten? Winning on the road? But if that's what you're concerned about. Yeah, I saw this yesterday. That's perfect example, what I was going to mention, Tim. Alabama. Now, they only had 7 guys go into the portal. That's just yesterday, though. But, a national championship runner-up team had 7 guys go in yesterday. It's not a lot when you're considering they have probably 130 guys with walk-ons and all that. Not a lot of guys leaving Alabama. Of course, you've got seniors and all that. Tim thinks Indiana's better than Kentucky. Well, hopefully the NCAA will do everybody a favor and provide that matchup this season, as they're prone to do. That's the one and only good thing the NCAA has been good at, and that has been providing us with some unique matchups in the NCAA tournament. Hopefully they can do that again. Hey, we got lots more Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios on this Wednesday. Derrick Jackson going to join us next.
Bob Kravitz.
Oh, Bob's up next. My bad. Looking forward to it. I bet he's got something to say about the Colts implosion. We're back with Bob Kravitz from The Athletic right after this, brought to you by our good friends at Andy Moore Honda. There you go. Look at that. You're looking for the deals. Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington has got them for you. They got $0 down, 0% APR financing. Head out to Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. We're back with more right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Sports on television.
Hello, Robert.
How are you? I'm just my microphone is still not working correctly. This is weird.
Sounds great.
Does it sound okay?
Here.
Okay, well then.
Yeah, I agree.
We'll just
fine to
go
me.
We'll go with it.
Sounding good, man.
Got the Hartford Whalers rocking the Hartford Whalers today.
I was sitting there trying to guess, but now I got it.
That is the greatest logo in sports.
Yeah,
it is cool looking.
It's great. It's as good as the Milwaukee Brewers, the old one that Brewers used to have.
The MB, yep, with a
MB,
glove.
that was great in the glove. That's awesome.
That took some thinking, man.
Yeah, somebody was having a couple of cocktails and said, let's do it.
And then you have a great one like that and you let it go. You don't use it all the time.
They don't because they want to sell more shit.
I was getting ready to say, you got to market more stuff, man. You got to bring in the new logos.
Reverse retro hats and all kinds of crap. Do we have to talk about the Colts? Yes, we do.
Boy, oh boy.
Were you in Jacksonville, I assume, Bob?
No, I didn't go because I had COVID.
Oh, okay.
That's why I wasn't on last week. I was really not feeling well at all.
I assume you're feeling better now?
Yeah, I feel fine. Just a little, a little stuffed up, but otherwise,
my
good.
wife and I got it as well last week. So
yeah, my wife got it like a day after I did. So we just stayed at home and watched old movies, and I wrote a few columns, and that was about it.
I wonder if I'm going to be the last man on earth to get it.
You might be, Jim. I saw a comparison the other day that said, if you haven't gotten COVID yet, it's like back when you're in elementary school, you're playing dodgeball and you're the last kid that hid in the corner and everybody else has already gotten hit.
Yeah. Jim's been hiding in the corner.
In the corner, baby.
Hang on 1 sec, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
Blow my nose.
Well, we're not going to stop the show. It's all right.
Well, yeah, it's so fine. It's fine. We've got 45 seconds.
Oh, I know. I'm just kidding. His office looks so much like DeCourcy's.
It's like a reverse with the door. The door's on the other side.
Yep.
All right, and bring us back from break.
To Honda Pilot, all the trims for 0% APR financing over 48 months and $0 down.
I'll try not to
about
cough.
a brand new 2021 Honda Passport, also 0% APR financing over 48 months and $0 down.
Can you hear me?
Door to your door with AndyMooreHonda.com.
I don't know what's with these headphones. I'm not hearing myself.
This segment is brought to you by Remax Advanced Realty, Indie Home Pros team by Cheryl Sizemore. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Welcome back. It is Wednesday. We made it halfway through, and we've got Bob Kravitz from The Athletic. How are you, sir?
I am splendid. How are you, man?
Great. You got that great Hartford Whalers hat on.
I love this hat.
It is great because it's so unique, and you don't see anybody wearing one, so that makes it cool and unique in and of itself. But we were talking off air about the logo. If you're not paying attention, Whaler, the W with that tail up on top, kind of cool.
Oh, we were saying off air, to me, the only hat, the only logo that compares is the old Milwaukee Brewers.
And that may be better. Yeah. Oh, and that may be better just because they were able to incorporate the glove, the ball. That may be the coolest sports.
Yeah, but look at this. We got the H. Oops, I'm here. The H, right in the middle.
Oh.
I'm trying to do this on.
I didn't know that. Hey, I just saw the W. I just saw the W.
Yeah, it's sneaky.
Very intricate.
Yeah, it's really well done.
Sneaky. That's kind of
unfortunately they no longer exist.
Yeah, where are they now?
Carolina Hurricanes.
That's just a horrible. I mean, I hate losing franchises that were like foundation type franchises.
Yeah. Well, they were a WHA, World Hockey Association franchise, and then they came on to the National Hockey League, and they did really well. We'll get to the Colts, I promise. But they did really well. But you know how it works with buildings and owners and whatnot, and they ended up moving to Carolina.
Did you play hockey?
I did. I played in high school and I played at IU.
I was going to say, did you play in a club? I know they have club hockey.
Yes,
here, right?
I played club hockey for 4 years, and I was voted most mediocre goaltender in IU history.
Oh man, goaltender! I cannot imagine that a puck sandwich. That cannot be enticing to know that you're potentially getting ready to eat a puck sandwich.
Oh, my girlfriend back in college said my natural color is black and blue. I was just beat up, pucks, black and blue marks everywhere. Back in those days, the equipment wasn't as good as it is now.
I was just going to ask, where the hell did they play then? Where do they play now?
Same awful place, Frank Southern Arena, down by Bloomington South High School. When I played, the rink was open air on one side. Now Now it's completely closed. But I had to leave a game against Purdue because I wasn't getting any action and I was getting frostbite on my fingers. It was so cold. And I couldn't feel my stick and my fingers were burning. And I had to come out and warm them up. We had to put my backup in.
Oh man, that's hilarious.
It was bad.
How many Big Ten teams have legit hockey? And not legit, but
yeah, D1.
D1.
Oh gosh.
That are playing.
Let's see. I'm going to miss.
I know,
some.
like Wisconsin,
Minnesota, Michigan State, Michigan, Ohio State. No, not Northwestern, not Illinois, not Rutgers. Penn State's D1 now. Penn State went to Division I a couple of years ago, and they're doing very well. So I think about 6 or 7 Big Ten teams are Division I.
And isn't Notre Dame in the Big Ten in hockey? Or am I mistaken with that?
You know what? I am not sure. I don't think so. I'm not sure what league they play in. I thought they used to be in the CCHA, but I could be completely wrong.
Just curious.
Yeah.
It's funny, and if people are confused by that, I can tell you right now, Notre Dame is in the AAC and men's soccer.
Yeah.
So not the ACC,
No.
but the AAC. So, and you'll see that when schools are in a conference that don't offer a sport like hockey. Well, some schools play it, but maybe half of them do. Minnesota, Michigan, Notre Dame is listed as a Big Ten school.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Michigan State, Wisconsin, Ohio State, Penn State. Oh hell, they're just listing everything.
Yeah.
But I'm just curious because I wonder if Indiana will ever get to the point where they add hockey.
It's so expensive. I remember mentioning this.
And then you have to add a women's sport. The men
absolutely. Well, I mean, look, it would cost. I remember saying to Fred Glass once, "When the hell are you going to get a hockey team down there?" He said, "When you give me a check for $75 million, I'll get you a hockey team." And I said, "Well, let me check my finances." And we all had a good laugh about that. But no, it's very expensive. The insurance, the travel, the equipment, you got to build an arena. I think it would be a smash hit, but it is very, very expensive. And coming out of a pandemic, I can't begin to imagine that, that's something that would happen anytime soon.
I think it would be a very popular student sport. I think the students would enjoy going to that. It's a game you can go to in the wintertime, not have to worry about it. It's going to be cold in there regardless. It doesn't matter.
Right.
So it's going to be cold. But I've been in areas where when I was working in TV down in the Louisville area, they had a minor league team. But man, they for a area that is so much basketball, and you got horse racing, and you got Louisville football trying to make their mark. That hockey team put a dent. It drew crowds.
Yeah, there's
they enjoy it.
There's no question in my mind that if they built a small, 7,000, 6,000 seat arena on campus somewhere, it would be a smash hit.
What if could they not play in Wilkinson? In Wilkinson Hall now, you have to retro the floor. You'd probably have to put the floor underneath.
Yeah, that I don't know. I haven't been to Wilkinson in a million years, so I'm not sure.
Wrestling. Well, it's new. That's where they play volleyball.
Oh, okay.
And wrestling, and it is next to Cook Hall.
Oh, well, that'd be fine by me.
It's a perfect size, but they would have to go in and retro and dig out the floor. I don't know that it's big enough for a hockey rink.
Yeah,
they'd have to do some retro stuff, but that would probably be cheaper than building a whole damn new arena.
Yeah, well, we'll start. What do you call when you raise money? One of those,
fundraisers.
Yeah. Well,
GoFundMe.
GoFundMe. Thank me. We'll do a GoFundMe through your show, and we'll build a hockey arena.
Hockey at IU. There you
I
go.
love
it. It would be. It would be. I think it would be fun. All right. Well, your favorite topic of the week.
Yes,
man. It is. How far back do you have to think in sports? Much not just NFL,
but in sports for a cataclysmic implosion of turning your season around, of making the play of an 0-3 start. No way in hell you're going to the playoffs. You lose a game to the Ravens and the Titans that you're like, now you're really screwed. And then they fight back, and now they got it made. You got a home game against the Raiders, and then you got to go on the road against the worst team in professional sports. You're in, baby.
98%. 98% chance. Dude, I've been doing this for almost 40 years, okay? And I've seen a lot of bad losses. I've seen a lot of losses that came out of nowhere. But this was the single most shocking performance I can ever remember in the time that I've covered sports. Now, you go through the annals of sports, I'm sure there are some that compare or maybe even exceed what happened on Sunday in Jacksonville. But quite honestly, in the times that I've been watching sports, I've never seen a team come up flatter in a game that meant everything against a worse opponent in my entire professional life. Never seen it. It was unbelievable. I mean, it wasn't like they got beat by a fluke. It wasn't like, one play here, one play there. They got the crap kicked out of them by a team. But, the coaches are already updating their resumes. They're all interim coaches. You've got players who made reservations for Cancun a month ago. And here you are getting your teeth kicked in by this god-awful team that can't beat anybody, that lost 50-10 to New England 1 week earlier.
That has been washed in all kinds of Urban Meyer crap all year long.
Right.
They were a lost team, so they had no direction. And there's nothing worse for any kind of a team than to be in a situation like that where there's no direction, and you know that there was no direction because the assistant coaches were not in concert with the head coach. The head coach was not in concert with anything. And to be able to pull off that win, first of all, how big is that for Jacksonville to end their season?
Well, it's nice, but it's relatively meaningless because they still get the number 1 draft pick because of what Detroit did. Really, it has very little to do with Jacksonville and everything to do with the Indianapolis Colts because this changes every conceivable narrative heading into the offseason. I mean, before the Jacksonville game, I think you would have said, yeah, Carson Wentz had his moments, good, bad, indifferent. But, we move forward with him next year. He's got 1 year left on his contract, at least in terms of guaranteed money. And you move on, you see if you can't do any better with a full offseason and a full training camp. This changes everything. This brings us back to that elemental question of, is this the right quarterback moving forward? And I don't know, but I don't think that Jim Irsay is convinced he's the guy. I don't know. We'll find out tomorrow from Chris Ballard what he's thinking. And I thought it was very interesting that when we talked to Frank Reich on Monday, he did not commit to Carson Wentz as his quarterback of next year. And I think that has a lot to do with the post-game meeting that Ballard and Reich had with Jim Irsay. Or it was right after the game. They got back from Jacksonville, and he said, get your asses into the office. We need to talk. So it's my understanding, my belief that Jim Irsay is not happy at all, but I think he has some serious questions about moving forward with Carson Wentz.
Is it me, or has Jim Irsay grown up as an owner in the last 5 years and become one of the better owners in the NFL?
I think he's been one of the best owners in the league for a long time. For a couple of reasons. Number one, he's a football guy. Most owners own, 15 other businesses, and they're multi-zillionaires through other
This is what
endeavors.
he grew up with.
This is
he
what
grew up as a Colt.
And he wasn't a very good GM, but he was a GM when he was in his 20s, for crying out loud. So he understands the game of football. He grew up really from the bottom up. I mean, he was the kid, grabbing jock straps out of the locker room for Johnny Unitas when he was a kid. And So he knows the game. He's not an idiot like some of these other owners, like the ones you see in New York and elsewhere. And
Miami?
he's willing in Miami, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to. I mean, he's a bigger fan than any Joe Schmo from Kokomo. Honest to God, he is so invested in how this team plays and what it means to the city. So no, I think, and what's good about him is he's involved without being overly involved, if that makes any sense. I mean, he gets his hands dirty, but he's not Jerry Jones, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, he sends out tweets about things, but he is not shooting out craziness. Does a ton for the community. He has become such a part of the Indianapolis community.
This
you
is
have
killing
to take your hat off.
This is killing him, Jim. I'm telling you.
I promise you, he wants to win so bad. He wants that next Peyton Manning, which everybody does, of course, but he knows that they're out there. It's just you have to get them. Who is there are going to be options for them. I mean,
not many. If you look at the free agent quarterbacks out there, the only people who, if you want to have a dream scenario, Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson. If you can get those are the one of those two dudes, then you're sitting pretty. There's no guarantee that those guys are moving on. But you look at the free agency class beyond that, you're looking at a lot of Teddy Bridgewater types. And I don't believe you can do any more with Teddy Bridgewater than you can with Carson Wentz.
How much room do the Colts have cap-wise, money-wise? Do they have an open check that they can go out and make Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson offers that they can't make them an offer they can't refuse?
Well, they've got around $52 million in cap space. Look, if they drop Wentz, they'll take a $15 million hit, which will hurt. Certainly, Quentin Nelson's going to get a long-range extension with his new contract coming up here probably this offseason. It would be a tough one to do. That said, if you have a chance to get Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson, you do whatever in the hell it takes financially. To me, if it means you don't re-sign Quentin Nelson, even though he's a Hall of Famer, then you do it. If you have a chance to because look, you win Super Bowls with elite quarterbacks. You don't win Super Bowls with elite left tackles or elite left guards. I mean, as great as he is, and he is one of one. I mean, he's the best. He's in John Hanna territory already. But I think if you're asking me what are they going to do, I think they're going to stay with Carson for one more year. Because they gave up so much for him. There's a financial element to this, and there's not a lot of great options. But if by some miracle Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers becomes available, then it would be malpractice if they didn't make every conceivable effort to bring him in.
Yeah, you've got the Steelers are going to be a new face next season. This is Big Ben's last year, and we've seen daggone it, Drew Brees, here last year, so gone.
Right. A lot of people need quarterbacks.
Tom Brady probably only has 3 to 5 years left.
Is that all? Yeah. Is he 50 yet? Jesus. He's only the MVP, him or Aaron Rodgers. So
how bad that's another thing. Did that loss? I don't think Jonathan Taylor would after they lost to the Raiders, but had they not lost that last game, did Jonathan Taylor have an MVP shot? Or I know he was going to be up there and still get votes, but I'm talking about really beating Aaron Rodgers or beating.
I don't see how he could have. Would it have helped his candidacy if they had won one of those last two games? Yes, but I think, look, a running back has not won the MVP since I think it's 2011 or 12 with Adrian Peterson. I think that's the right year. It's been a long time, and you have to be unbelievably. I mean, you have to be unbelievable. You have to break records, all-time records, to make it as an MVP as a running back. So I think it was going to come down to Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady, with JT coming in pretty solidly in third.
Jesse points out that the Colts were the only team in the league, and only with only one player over 400 yards. That's remarkable in an NFL. How in the hell do you have one guy with 400 yards?
I could have told you it was coming, buddy. I wrote this column several times in the preseason. If they think going into the season with this group is going to get it, they're crazy. They had one guy, Michael Pittman. Doyle is almost done. He's more a blocker than anything else. Mo Alley Cox is just a guy. You've got Pascal, who had a terrible season. He's more of a blocker than a wide receiver. Paris Campbell can't stay healthy. T.Y. Hilton, God bless his soul. I never would have brought him back this year. I know he's a leader and everybody loves him, but how many passes did he catch this year? I mean, not many. He was a non-factor. And when T.Y. is your number 2 wide receiver, you are in deep, deep stuff.
Jason asked, and I have not, have we discussed Tua as a possible quarterback target? Haven't heard that. I don't know what his contract situation is in Miami. They just lost their coach, which that was a shocker. How the hell do you fire a coach that, they sucked starting off 1-7, but they freaking won 7 straight games and damn near made the playoffs. That was kind of a surprise, them firing their coach. But is he a possibility?
I guess everybody's a possibility, but he's not a free agent, and you've got to trade for him. And what do you trade with? You don't have a first round pick next year, so that pretty much takes you out of the running. I mean, they're not going to give up Tagovailoa for anything less than a first round pick, and the Colts don't have one. So that's a really tough one. And I think if the Colts are going to make a change to a new quarterback, I think they want somebody who's proven he can do it at the highest level in the NFL. And Tagovailoa hasn't done that yet. He's had some good moments. Certainly, he helped bring the Dolphins back this year from the abyss. But I just don't see that happening. But it's a nice idea.
What do you have coming up next? Articles about who the next quarterback's going to be?
Yeah, Chris Ballard is going to speak with the media tomorrow at noon. And Chris is always painfully honest when he can be. And so I'll have something on that. And my Jay Mariotti story, which has been sitting in the hopper for God knows how long, that will appear sometime in the next few weeks. And at this point, I'm going to be concentrating on college hoop and the Pacers, such as they are. And I'm going to maybe take a little time off, for crying out loud. Let me go someplace.
Don't say it's not so. Say it's not so.
I got to get out of here.
I hear you. Hey, I had that same feeling about a week and a half ago, brother.
Yeah.
And I'm
just
about to do it again.
It's when you get through the whole football season, it's a lot of. I'm not saying it's a lot of work, because God knows I don't. We don't. It's not that hard of a job, but you need to give your brain a rest a little bit. And I would like to go someplace warm and sit on a beach in my Speedo and scare away people.
Well, that just took that thought out of my. I was enjoying that thought for about 2 seconds there, boy.
That's something. That's something you're going to have to live with, Jim.
All day long. All day long. The great Bob Kravitz from The Athletic. Make sure you give him a follow. Be a subscriber. I am. Follow him on Twitter as well. Robert, thank you, sir. I appreciate you.
All right, buddy. Take care of yourself.
You bet. Bob Kravitz from The Athletic joining us. Brought to you by our good friend at Remax Realty, Cheryl Sizemore. If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, Cheryl Sizemore's 2 decades of experience could be the reason you get the home you want. We're back with Derrick Jackson after this. Stay tuned. Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you from the golf club at Eagle Point Studios.
We'll be right back to the golf club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
If you're in the market.
What up?
What's up, Jim? How you doing, John? Man, I'm catching the tail end of that conversation that you guys were having. It sounds pretty good, man.
You hear about the Speedo?
Well,
Yeah, man. I'm thinking, South Florida.
I was gonna
You got-
bring you in at the very end to kind of
Uh-huh.
segue into the next, but wait, when that Speedo came out, I was like, I'm out. Break.
I hear you,
Commercial.
man. I hear you.
But that's why he is so freaking funny
Uh-huh.
to think that because he's not serious. But
Right.
that would be hilarious. Bob Kravitz in a freaking Speedo and a Boston Whaler and a Hartford Whalers hat.
Yeah, that probably
Mind the
was
people
like
that
clear out the beach,
don't
man.
like Bob Kravitz.
Man, I was down, I don't want to say near you, but relative about a week and a half ago or a week ago, whenever it was.
Right.
Um,
Where were you
Just-
in Florida?
you're in Fort Myers, right?
I'm in Fort Myers. That's right.
Yeah, I was just straight up on the bay.
The Bay, you mean the Panhandle or Tampa Bay? Tampa Bay, right? Okay, yeah, man. You're about an hour and a half north of me. Not
Yeah.
that far. I sit right between about an hour and a half south of Tampa and about 2 hours due west of Fort Lauderdale, Miami. So I'm right in between two of the biggest cities that we have here in
Hell
South.
yeah.
Mhm.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, man. So that's good, man. I mean, this exciting, a lot of exciting things going on that we'll get to talk about here shortly. I mean, just I tell you, man, the Colts and you guys were talking about the Colts and talking about Tua Tagovailoa. That's how you got to get it right. How to pronounce
Tonga.
his name.
Tagovailoa.
Tunga Vailoa.
Tagovailoa. Okay, Tagovailoa.
That's
Yeah,
how I did that. I don't know if I'm right.
yeah, man. I don't know. Is his one question though before we go back on the air? Is his brother? Is this his last year up in Virginia?
I doubt it. Maryland.
I think he's got more because of the COVID year. They threw
Yeah,
out.
everybody's got to. Yeah, he's got to have at least 2 more years, I'd say.
His
Oh,
name's Talia.
Yeah.
So you got
Talia,
Tua
right?
and
His
Talia.
name, Tua and Talia. Okay. I'm sure you guys have already talked about the national championship, man. What a heck of a game, man.
We didn't really talk about it a lot, to be honest with
Okay.
you. I mean, we talked about it yesterday, some, but
We'll talk about whatever you want to talk about, DJ.
Hey, no problem, man. I'm just happy to
Happy
be
belated
here.
birthday, by the way. I know I texted you last week, but I wasn't on last week.
Hey, man, that's okay, brother. Thank you so much, man. It was I'm just praising God, man, just giving him all the praise and the honor and the glory, man, for allowing me, so undeserving to be here for 54 years. So I thank him for it, man.
All right, here we go.
The home
All right.
you want today. Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com.
This segment is brought to you by Aurora Specialty Sleep Clinic. Now back to the golf club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
happy Wednesday. Welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you here. Jim Coyle with you as always, joined by our good friend Derrick Jackson. Now, DJ, how are you? Happy New Year. Happy birthday, by the way. Belated birthday.
Thank you very much, man. It's been a great start to the new year, man. Especially looking at our Hoosiers basketball team there. I'm a Hoosier fan regardless of whatever season it is. But just to see how successful we have been so far, especially in the last basketball game, and I'm just kind of wondering, man, where we're gonna go from here. The road doesn't get any easier, I can tell you that. Going forward, but we knocked off Ohio State, and we did handle Minnesota pretty good. So I'm just kind of wondering, man, what your thoughts on, man, where you think we're gonna go from here at this point, and how we're gonna get there is my question.
In football?
Oh no, basketball, man.
Oh, in basketball. I was just talking about this previous segment. I love what Mike Woodson is doing, how he's building his program. He is, because this is he came in from the pros to college, making this jump, first of all, at a time when it may have been as difficult as it's either as difficult as any, or it's maybe as easy as any because of the changes, because it's more like pros right now. Maybe that's making it a little easier. But anyway, with the transfer portal and anybody can go anywhere, COVID extra years, and then to come in and to have never recruited and now have to start recruiting, you throw all of that in. I think he's doing a hell of a job managing all of that, bringing in solid recruits like Tamar Bates, like the guy Jalen Hood-Schifino coming in next year, and those types of guys, mixing in with the talent that they have. They will bring in some portal guys, I'm sure. There's no one that you can't not use the portal, but he's building his program. He's recruiting, and you see progress on the floor, on the court. The record could be better. We talked about that. Hell, they could be undefeated in the Big Ten, and I hate doing that. Could be, would be, all that junk. Everybody, hell, we could all be undefeated, but they legitimately in the Big Ten, had they just been a game or two ahead, wouldn't have lost the games that they lost. But you have to be happy. But there's a lot of games left. They've got 2 road games coming up right now. Great test. These are both winnable road games. They're not going to play at Purdue this weekend. They're not going to play at Michigan State. They're going to Nebraska. And then they're going, they're going to Iowa, then they're going to Nebraska. So if they go 1-1, is that going to be a failure? No, it would probably be, all right. But 2-0, that's what you need to say, okay, you can see this is a team taking another step. That you can physically see that step being taken when you go on the road and take care of business, unlike at Syracuse, unlike at Wisconsin, at Penn State. So that's the next step. And then if they're able to do that, if they can win both of those games, that'd give them four straight Big Ten wins with Purdue coming into Bloomington. That's a situation that they need to put themselves in confidence-wise. And so there's just all that stuff just plays right together as the season is laying out.
Yeah, I think, looking at it, like you said, this is going to be a great test for him. Rob Finesse and, Trace Jackson, looks like from what I see, they're starting to build chemistry. And when that chemistry starts to come together, everything that Mike Woodson is coaching, everything that he's preaching, everything that coach is giving them, it looks like now it's starting to transfer to the hardwood. And that's what we need to see happen this year. We needed to transfer to the hardwood so we can put ourselves in this position, man. Like you said, when Purdue comes in the house, that should be, and it probably will be the biggest game of the season. Not to mention it's our arch rival up north.
Absolutely. So we'll get to see how that plays out. Indiana travels to Iowa tomorrow. We'll be there for that. Late game, the 9:00 game. Daggone it. There is nothing worse than a 9:00 road game. The only thing worse than a 9:00 road game is covering live a 9:00 road game. Because that means it will be in Iowa, which it's an hour earlier there. So it's the team makes it even worse. But no, we'll be out there for that.
Yeah, I always wondered how those guys were able to accomplish that. When I was there in Bloomington, I was playing football, and we always played on Saturdays. We always played at a specific time. It wasn't going to be anything different. But when you're, like you're saying, you're traveling, and it's actually, it's not a weekend. So you got class. You're going to miss a couple of days of classes because you're on the road. So I was like, man, that's going to be tough for them guys, man. It's going to be tough.
Here's I just saw a tweet Taylor Tannenbaum retweeted regarding the Colts. The Colts, who missed the playoffs, played more minutes with a lead this season, which was 562, than that of the Packers or the Titans, the two number 1 seeds.
Wow. It was, I was, you know what, man? I was trying to, hearing the end of the conversation that you and the gentleman that was there just, had. I'm trying to figure out what happened to the Colts this year. What happened in this last game? I couldn't figure out for the life of me. How did they just themselves? Yeah.
Carson Wentz, for one, he had the COVID situation, which sat him out of practice before the Raiders game, of which
but they just couldn't get it done. And then going into the Jags game, I think he may have been the only quarterback to not throw an interception on the road or something like that. And he promptly threw back-to-back interceptions. So there you go.
Those don't help, man.
You know, this is actually a good question. Do I think that Bob Knight will make the Purdue game? You know what? The honest answer is no idea, because I have no idea where Bob Knight is with his health right now. That's hard to do for him. Think about that. Think about, all right, remember when he returned? Okay, what was that scene like? Anytime he's in Assembly Hall, it's going to be a freaking madhouse. So I don't know that he wants that, you know, but so I don't know. I don't know.
I think iconic coaches.
It would be cool.
That, yeah, it would be cool. But I think iconic coaches like a Bob Knight in basketball or Bobby Bowden in football, I think that kind of disrupts the flow of the game. It disrupts what's really going on and what it's really supposed to be about. So I think the coaches at that level that have gotten to that elite level like that, you know, in the best interest of the current team and the best interest of the current coach, you know, don't put this attention on me. I'll stay home and my lazy boy, I'll watch the game from my, you know, my big screen TV, and you guys do what you need to do there real time, you know. So I don't see what would be the point for him to show up for the Purdue game, if you ask me.
Yeah, that's all for the fans right there. Yeah,
that's all for the fans. Man.
That's because that is nothing but a pain in his behind. And if you have any familiarity with Bob Knight, that's probably not something he cares to deal with.
Nah, he don't want to do that, and I would hate to see a ref make a bad call and for him to grab a chair. It's coming across the floor, man.
I promise you. 5 Laps asking, hey, Jim, which scenario would you take? The team goes 0-2 on the road but wins against Purdue at home, or win the next 2 road games but lose to Purdue at home? Well, I guess that depends on how you want to – if you're looking at it from a fan's perspective. Me personally, I'll take the 2 road games, 2 road wins, because that's going to benefit you, your resume, your tournament resume. That's going to benefit you much better. Road wins or better, as opposed to losing at home to a top 5 team. I don't look at it from the rivalry standpoint. I'm being, from a pragmatic standpoint of what would be best. Now, mentally, DJ, I can't say that it wouldn't be better mentally for this team even if they lost those 2 road games and came back and knocked off Purdue at home. You get a gigantic top 5 win, a win over a team you haven't beaten in 9 attempts, or it would be 10 then, 7 years, whatever. So it's a good question. Pragmatically, I'll take the 2 road wins. But from a team mentality standpoint, I'll let you take that. I don't know which would be better, to be honest with you.
You know what? In order for our confidence to stay where it is, I want the 2 road wins because it's going to give us a better chance against Purdue. You don't want that kind of pressure going into playing at Purdue and just coming off the road, mentally, physically exhausted, having lost two basketball. But if you ask me what specific scenario I would take, I would just explain it to you. My mentality as a coach from a player, my mentality is we take 1 game at a time, and I want to win all 3 of them. I don't want to pick and choose between the 2. Okay, I do understand the viewer's question, so not to take away from that. I mean, it's a very, very good question, but I just think that hey, listen, man, we want to play this game. We want to play Iowa. We want to beat them. We want to beat Nebraska. They want to come home and want to kick Purdue's butt. That's what we want to do.
Yep. And like I said, if you get those 2 road wins, well, now you've got that coming home in your back pocket to take on Purdue, take on a team that I promise you, unlike the last 4 years, Mike Woodson is going to be in their ear holes every day. Do you think Dane Fife
is not going to be in their ear hole every day talking about the rivalry. That's been lost. And at the end of the season, does that, how much importance does that win? Yeah, it definitely fades, but it's definitely more important than any other game. But it's also important from like I said, a confidence. They've lost to this team 9 straight times. And Indiana is the team with the 5 national championship banners, but Purdue is riding high right now. It would certainly be for great storytelling, DJ, if they could split that series this year. And which is, I said before the season, I would not at all be shocked to see Indiana split this season split the series with Purdue this year. And that was before I knew exactly how they were going to be playing coming out of the schedule right now. But these next 2 games are going to be telling to me because they played pretty well these last 2. Now you got to go on the road. Can you keep that up? If they can, man, that damn Purdue game gonna be fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun to watch, man. Pandemonium, arch rival, and the thing about basketball, just touch base on it one more time. We get to play these guys in the middle of the season. It's not like football where it's the last game of the season. This rival is in the middle of the season, so it messes with the psyche to a certain degree.
What's up next for you, man?
Me? Hey, Jim, listen, man, I am going to get back up to Indiana. I'm going to catch me some basketball before March Madness comes around. Right now, I'm working on a little project that I'm taking on personally. I'll let you know what that is once I get it all together myself. But right now, things are going pretty good. It's a brand new year, brand new outlook. And again, man, I'm just thanking God for where I'm at right now and just trying to elevate my status in my game and get like you, man. I want to be big time like my man Jim Coyle, man. That's what I'm trying to do. Get like you, my brother.
Hardly, man. I'm just riding on the shoulders of my good friends like you. You know what? I forgot to bring up, and I meant to. We didn't talk about the national championship game. IU football coaches search. You just brought in a new DC apparently that has not been named official, but and here's my thing with this. I can't predict how he's going to be. It's the same with Walt Bell. I don't know. He's come from a bad situation. It does not look like it's a great hire. And then now you've hired a guy to be DC who has been coaching since 2001. But if you pull up his resume, he coached defensive line every single year on that resume, which is shocking to me. There's a couple of years where he's had some other responsibilities added, but he's been the defensive line coach everywhere he's been. I've never seen that. You usually see guys move to other positions, sometimes across the ball, to get more experience because you need that coaching. If you're coaching D-line, you probably need to coach O-line.
Exactly.
You need to understand what they're trying to do, what they need to do, so you can do what you need to do. And that's why I'm just shocked and then to see that mono stat line and to go into DC, it's just a little surprising to me. It's not a pretty hire, not a sexy hire, I guess you'd say.
Surprised Charlton Warren left. That surprised me when I seen that he was going back home to UNC. I think we had something going there. We just needed to add some more pieces to the puzzle. So I'm kind of up in the air about these new coaches coming in. Like you said, the resume. When I coached, I'm a defensive back. When I coached high school football for the last 7 years, I was a wide receiver coach. No, first I was a two-tech coach. I was a two-tech coach. Then I was a defensive end coach. Then I was a linebacker coach. Then I was a wide receiver coach. I never coached. I'm a DB, and I never coached DBs in high school. So you need that variability in your resume. If you're going to have some effect, I don't know what head coach Tom Allen's thought process is. I'm not in any position to critique his hires, but all I know is this thing has to come together this year. And I just think that, if I'm Coach Tom Allen, I'm going to reach back to some of those players and have some of those past players to come and try to help motivate this team like some of these other schools are doing.
Yeah, I hear you. How about Dion, man? Prime time. Pulled in a couple of big recruits.
I tell you, I said it. I said it again. Do not. I tell people, just like when you play football, don't challenge this guy. Don't throw his way, and don't tell him what he cannot do, because he's going to do the exact opposite. Brett Favre learned it during his career about throwing his way. Even I remember when we were getting ready to play Florida State in the All-American Bowl, Coach Pesky was our receivers coach, and he said, "Hey, DJ, I need you to do me a favor." He said, "I need you to let my receivers know. Tell them how good Deion Sanders is." And I said, "I'm gonna tell you something, guys. He's good. Now he can't cover the whole field at one time, but I'm gonna tell you something. You need to be very cautious when you throw his way." So in coaching, his resume walks into a parent's home before he gets there. When he gets there, the deal is already made. That's just how effective Coach Prime is at Jackson State and anywhere he goes.
One question: does he wear the blue Aflac blazer and the Aflac chain around his neck when he goes into the recruiting home?
Doubt it. Seriously doubt it. But hey, I tell you, man, he's doing a great job there. Very happy for him. Things are going to really, I'm sure he will be at a Power 5 institution in a very, very near future. So
if he wants to be. I don't know that he wants to be. I think he likes sticking it to the man, so to speak, from an HBCU or just a small college period.
Yeah, he doesn't need the money. I can tell you that. He definitely doesn't need the money. I like to say, Indiana, man, listen, hey, go after this guy. What are you gonna lose? Go after this guy if you get a chance to. Get him on your radar.
Well, hey, seriously, what the hell would that do to recruiting?
Woo, boy, let me tell you something, boy. That would man, come on, man. You talking about, man, 4 and 5. Listen, man, when you flip, he's not only flipping DBs, he's not only flipping skill position players, man, he's flipping linebackers and offensive and defensive linemen, man. You know? I mean, come on, man.
It has been fun. Brother, I appreciate you as always. Look forward to you getting up here. And let me know when that's going to happen. And
I sure will, man. I'm getting in the bag. The New Year has started. People are settling back in. So, man, listen, we're gonna have some great special guests for you this year. And as always, I will see you guys every Wednesday, unless I tell you different, brother. I'm here.
We gotta get Dion on. Dion, we gotta get. I know that's a hard.
That's a tall order. But if I do that, man, I need an NIL deal, Jim.
We have to work out something with. We get another Aflac sponsor.
I know that's right, brother.
Thank you, sir. Derrick Jackson, I appreciate you.
Love you, my man. Take care.
Appreciate you. Love you back. Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Rick Bozich up next from WDRB.com. We're back with that right after this.
We'll be right back to the golf club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Whether it's a celebration.
Look at that impeccable timing by Rick Bozich.
Is he not always impeccable?
Well, he said he'd be a few minutes late, so you went a little long with DJ, and then he pops in right when you're done with DJ.
I think it's a little messy.
I was going to say that, but you might want to wipe that off. But look at the color coordination today.
And Jim, I pushed Kyler back a few minutes just so you can get your full time with Rick.
Thank you, because I was going to take it regardless.
You'll take him to 10:15, and then Kyler will come on for the last 10 minutes of the show.
What was I going to look at? Oh, yeah.
So what's the reaction up there on all this change on the football staff? Was Warren pushed out, or?
I haven't heard that at all. There was one tweet by
Kevin
one
Wright?
of the assistant. Yeah. Which that kind of aggravated me because that was too wide of a brush.
Right.
I kind of became friends with Kevin Peoples. That one was surprising because they just bought a house.
Really?
He had just bought a house in Ellettsville. He was not planning on going anywhere.
Why did he go then?
I still don't know why he left.
That much more money?
They didn't balk at his buyout. I know that. But there's a relationship there of a former player of his, and Kevin is a real relationship guy too. So, people have to understand he had relationships before he came to Indiana, man, that supersede those. And
is the story
this is one of those.
That Warren never moved his family to Bloomington? He lived in a camper last year?
What?
I didn't see the camper part. I just saw that about the family, but that wouldn't surprise me. Mike Woodson's family didn't move for a while. Sometimes that takes a minute, but I don't. Now that's the one I don't get. I don't. What the hell? He was at one place for 17 years, and then you go to the Big Ten, and then you bolt and make a move that to me is not even a lateral move, but it's a step down. The conference is not as good. The position is not as good.
Right. He's big buddies with Gene Chizik, though, right? That's why he went.
Yeah, I guess relationships, man, all about relationships. And, but and another thing, which we'll talk about this on the air, but I said this yesterday. I cannot believe the players that Indiana is continuing to bring in,
right,
with all this going on.
I agree.
All right, here we go.
And $0 down. Get more to your door with AndyMooreHonda.com.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Wednesday. Joined now by Hall of Fame sports writer Rick Bozich from WDRB.com. Man, there's all kinds of great little tidbits this week, Rick. I talked about this a little bit yesterday. Right up your alley, or right down your track, I should say. Bob Baffert suing Churchill Downs. Can you ever, 5 years ago, have imagined the scenarios like there's going to be a year where Bob Baffert is going to sue Churchill Downs to run? He has to do this to save face, whether he's guilty or not. He can't not do it. Otherwise, he's admitting guilt, and he has to do it to get in.
It's amazing. I mean, since I met him, I think it was 1996. That was the year he came the first year and didn't win. Then he came back the next year and won with Silver Charm in 97. He's been sort of the face of the Kentucky Derby. He kind of came in after Wayne Lucas was starting to slow down and Woody Stevens was starting to slow down, and he was charismatic and he had great
silver hair, California thing.
Yeah. Great with TV, great with media,
met and married a lady that I used to work with at WLKY, Jill Moss.
Right.
So he met and married a Louisville TV person, so became really a part of that somewhat.
You know, he talked about horse racing in a way that I think the average person understood it. He was kind of flip and funny and self-deprecating, and then he won those first two with Silver Charm and Real Quiet and almost won the Triple Crown, then kind of didn't, and then came back with War Emblem and kept coming back at it. And then he finally breaks through and win the Triple Crown 2015 with American Pharoah, and does it again with Justify, I think it was. And then this year, so a little bit of the background noise about some of his issues with horses being flagged for, positive drug tests. But he comes in with his third or fourth string horse and wins the Derby when really nobody was picking him. And I was out there in the paddock and watched him as he was genuinely shocked. And it was kind of a feel-good story. And then, bam, like 2 days later, it all changed, and it kept going the wrong direction ever since then. And now, as you mentioned, he's threatening to sue Churchill Downs because he wants to bring them to the negotiating table to sort of repeal or reduce his suspension, which Churchill put in place last year, where he can't race at any of their tracks for 2 years. And Churchill basically said, drop dead. We're not doing it. And that's the most amazing thing about it. I can never remember Churchill being this public and this forceful dealing with situations like this. And there have been other trainers who've become afoul of the rules.
Big Brown. What was that guy's name? He was like the most notorious
Dick Dutrow
cheater. Is he not the cheatingest cheater? He's got to be the cheatingest cheater in the history of thoroughbred racing.
There are a couple of other snake venom guys. I can't remember their name right now who were good at giving horses. I remember, it's always a different situation in horse racing because, like in track and field and other sports, the people who try and push the rules are usually ahead of the drug testers. But remember, for a while it was sponging. They were doing some deal where they were putting sponges up horses' noses, and that helped them run better. Milkshakes was another one, some kind of concoction they gave horses. In the very beginning, it was, it might have been one of the drugs that's legal now, whether it was Bute or Lasix or one of them. But that's the one part about it. As much as, I love horse racing and I love the pageantry of it, the tradition of it, the colorful characters. The underside of it is very unappealing.
Well, yeah, but unfortunately, that is all of sports now, and it's hard to believe that even as animal sports world involving the animals, it doesn't matter. People just cheat. They're going to.
You're right.
But if you're like I love watching Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s podcast. They talk about cheating in that because they all used to cheat. There was different ways to cheat. The cars had to weigh so much at the start, so they'd fill them up with buckshot, and they'd have a hole with a plunger. Once the race started, they pull the plunger out and let all the buckshot run out. The cars get lighter. But they didn't call it cheating. They call it rule innovations.
Competing.
Real innovations or something. But that's it.
Right.
Yeah, it's just like in basketball. If you're grabbing a guy's jersey, you're essence, you're cheating. So it's NIL, the whole thing that it's always going to go on. So even down to that, it's unfortunate to see. And Churchill, it's kind of sad. You had the Derby that the winner was taken down. That just really, that one I hated to see that because that was the best
Country Road.
The best horse in there, but to see something happen like that's never happened. And then followed up like this, the COVID, because Churchill's one of those places that they have a couple of massive days that really your bell ringer days. And man, that sustains them, Derby and
Oaks.
the day before. And then when they are able to have Breeders' Cup, but the Derby and Oaks every year, this Derby week, it is the thing. So they need the fans to keep coming. Are they pricing themselves out of the everyday fan though?
Some people will tell you that they are, and really, Jim, it's more than just Churchill Downs. It's Louisville. It's the downtown Louisville. It's hotels, it's restaurants, it's, limousines, it's fashion, hats, people buying dresses and stuff like that. It's, people in town going to all these other events and having a couple of weeks of, activities and social life and things like that. It's a huge, it's like having the Super Bowl here every year. I mean, the whole community gets behind it. Thunder over Louisville. It's a huge economic stimulator. I know it's really important. Every year, a different television station gets to be the one that telecasts Thunder over Louisville, and that's a big deal for the station that has it every year.
Absolutely. Up to 800,000 people showing up for that. Basketball now, college football is over with the national championship this week. And now, so we get to focus on college basketball. We're hitting January when teams are getting better. Other than the COVID hiatuses, Michigan, if they have to sit a third straight game, is the Big Ten going to start running into scheduling problems? Or is Michigan going to start running into scheduling problems? We had that issue last year with Illinois and Michigan at the end of the season.
It sure looks like it, because if you're going to make them all up, you're going to have some teams playing some really uncomfortable turnovers of, possibly playing a road game on a Thursday night and then coming home and playing on a Saturday and then maybe going back on the road and playing on a Monday somehow. And some other teams are going to it's going to eventually affect other teams because it's going to have a trickle-down effect throughout the schedule. And Michigan especially is a team that, is really right now on the wrong side of the bubble. If the selection Sunday was today, they're not getting in after they were picked by many people to be the team to beat in the Big Ten, if not them, Purdue. So Michigan needs to get as many games in as they can. Well, the Michigan State game was the last one they lost. And is Purdue the next one?
Indiana's?
No, Michigan. Was Michigan?
Oh, yes, that's the next. That's the
State over the
next.
weekend.
That's the next scheduled game, I
Yeah.
believe. Or was that
Yeah.
the one that was just postponed?
Michigan State was over the weekend. That got
Michigan
postponed.
State postponed has been. Purdue's been postponed. Illinois is next.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
So
I mean,
that would
that's
be.
boy, that was a
Thursday,
tough
yeah.
stretch for them to have those 3 in a row. So yeah, it's going to affect everybody, and I think every team obviously needs to emphasize with their players the best they can how important it is for people to try and stay healthy and not test positive.
As dumb as it sounds, this break may have benefited Michigan because they weren't playing great,
No, they
and
won't.
going into that 3-game stretch, that was murderer's row. So they could have lost all 3 of those games and saw their season plunge. If they're able to get back in and practice more, get some more games in, and reschedule those games, that could benefit them greatly.
Yeah, I guess it depends just how much they stack up on top of each other. Because at some point, if you're having back-to-back weeks of 3 games each, that with the travel and stuff, I think you're putting yourself at risk of being at a disadvantage.
How big would Indiana beating Wisconsin have been? They are 13-2 right now. They took down Purdue on the road. They beat Iowa at home, and they beat Maryland on the road right now. You've got them ranked 18th in your top 25 poll this week. But again, 13-2, Indiana, that would have been just a really, really great resume builder for them.
Yeah, that's the one that has to sting the most. I mean, Penn State, people could talk about, but Penn State has gone on they played Purdue tough and they blasted Rutgers last night. Wisconsin's the game they were up 22 and should have won, let the lead slip to 17 at halftime. And because of the track record of Indiana going to Wisconsin and that being so early in the year, that would have been, so would have Syracuse. I mean, they should have won that game too. Syracuse is now, I believe, either 8-8 or 7-8, one or the other. They beat Pittsburgh last night. One of those 2 games they should have won. But let's think back to a week ago. We were talking about this, and last week everybody was, pretty skeptical about IU and which way they were going. And they bounced back with their best win of the year against Ohio State and backed it up with a solid win against Minnesota, even though they didn't play great in that game. But they did win both those games by double figures. I looked it up. It's the first time they won back-to-back games in the Big Ten by double figures since Romeo's year. So 2 whole seasons without doing that. And now the next thing is, the obvious thing is they've lost 7 straight road games, 2 this year and 5 last season. They need to go on the road and they need to win one of the 2. They need to beat either Iowa or Nebraska. And Iowa is typical Iowa, very good on offense, not so hot on defense. And Nebraska, I watched their last 2 games. They played Ohio State tough and then lost in overtime. They were ahead last night, and I know they ended up losing by 10 with like 4 minutes to go. They were either tied or ahead of Illinois, and then they just collapsed down the stretch. They got talented players. That won't be an easy game, but Indiana needs to win one of the 2. If they win both of them, then the atmosphere in Assembly Hall for that Purdue game is going to be back to the last 20 or it'll be up there with what I guess it was in the 2013 season.
Oh, absolutely. And these 2 road games are winnable. Both of these very winnable for Indiana. But I've said the same thing as you have. Nebraska's been playing people tough. They last night against Illinois, they did it. I'm like, they're gonna get somebody because everybody comes in.
That wasn't a 10-point game, and we saw Nebraska play Indiana and Bloomington. They were in the game until the last few minutes.
And then Indiana has played Iowa very well on the road.
Beat them last year.
And if they can do that again, if they can get both of those road wins, the confidence that they would come back to Assembly Hall with against a Purdue team that they haven't beaten in 9 tries or it would be 10. But now you've got Mike Woodson there and you've got people like Dane Fife, which it only carries so much, but bringing back the fact that they're playing a Purdue, they're playing a team that should matter more, will matter more. And like the atmosphere alone will be nuts. But I think that carries over to the floor. You've got to get that into your players' mindset. And that could be that could be the most electric atmosphere that Simon Scott Assembly Hall has seen Oh, how far back you have to go to the Tom Crean era for certain.
Yeah, Tom Crean era, either of the game when they lost to Ohio State when they could have clinched the Big Ten championship, or if not that Michigan game they played in 2013 when one of them was ranked 2 and the other one was ranked 3 or 1 and 3 or was they were both in the top 5 for sure. Kind of think College Game Day was there that day. It was the game when Oladipo missed the alley-oop dunk that they still show the highlight of him going up to get it. Indiana won the game. But, yeah, I agree with you. It's that if they win both these road games, that place, they'll be scalpers for that game. There's no doubt about it. And I also agree with you with Woodson and Fife on the coaching staff. I don't have any evidence of it, but it sure seemed like Archie, and maybe because Durham and Hunter and some of these other dudes aren't from the state of Indiana, I don't really think they understood the Purdue rivalry. I think Purdue does because Painter played there, and Ivy and Stefanovic and all those dudes, Thompson, Newman, they got a lot of Indiana kids. They get it. But Indiana didn't have as many Indiana kids other than, Jackson Davis and Armand. And so I think Fife and Woodson will change that.
Absolutely.
They might even play the famous locker room speech from Coach Knight. So they get the picture.
We'll have to pull that up. But yeah, and when Coach Knight came back, the team was in the locker room. They didn't even get to see that. So
right. That was a really
distant.
That was a dismal performance. I mean, to bring Coach Knight back and have all 50 players there, and they were sort of in the game at halftime. I think they got beat by double figures. That said a lot about which way the Archie Miller era was going. You can't lose that game when you're providing an atmosphere like that.
Nope. That was set up for must-see TV. I know you've got your weekly AP Top 25 basketball poll out. You've also got an article out, just the snapshots coming up. What else are you working on that people need to go see at WDRB.com?
Louisville plays tonight at home against NC State. So I'm dialed into that. Kentucky has a big game on Saturday. They got Tennessee coming in. There's probably 6 or 7 teams in the SEC. They're going to go to the NCAA tournament, and Tennessee is obviously one of them. So that'll be Kentucky blew out Vandy last night. And obviously I'll be watching IU, Iowa. And, like everybody else last night, I watched first Southern Cal lose to Stanford, and then I watched Baylor lose to Texas Tech. And now we're on January the 12th, and there's no unbeaten teams left in college basketball.
Yeah, and something else I'm going to let you go, but I mentioned earlier, it's funny, if you look at the teams that were involved in the FBI investigation from a couple of years ago, how many of those teams are currently ranked in the top 15? Quite a few of them.
LSU, Auburn, Southern Cal, Arizona. It's 4.
And three of those are in the top 6, I think.
Auburn might be the best team in the country. They're good. I don't know how much you've watched them, but
great. I watched a great win last night.
They beat Alabama. They got that Jabari Smith, who is a big dude who can shoot and run the floor. And he's not that good, but the people you hear him being compared to is like a Kevin Durant type player, and he's a stud. And Bruce Pearl got Walker Kessler to transfer from North Carolina. What basketball player leaves North Carolina to go to Auburn? But he got him. And
they got it going on.
They got all the pieces, man. He's got one of Crean's players who starts for him.
It's going to be fun to watch. Rick Bozich, I can't thank you enough, man. Appreciate you. It's always a blast.
All right. Thanks for having me. You guys have a great week.
Thank you. Go make sure you give Rick a follow at WDRB.com for all of his articles, and give him a follow on Twitter as well. Hey, we've got more coming up. Up next, Kyler Staley from thehoosier.com. We're going to talk about some recruiting. Back with more from Indiana Sports Beat Radio from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Whether it's a celebration.
What's going on?
Good morning, Kyler.
How are you guys doing?
Doing well. Sorry about the minor schedule adjustment.
Nah, it's all good. Just a few minutes.
You'll be wrapping up with us. We go till 10:30, so you'll have our final 10 minutes.
Cool.
What's new, man?
Not much. I've got got kind of a mini trip to Arizona this weekend, so go
Nice.
see a few
What's in there?
friends.
Oh, just traveling.
Yeah, see a few friends I haven't seen in a little bit. So
let's see. When are you coming back?
Sunday around plane lands around 5.
Sunday.
Yeah.
I think. Oh, I'm gonna tell you this. I'm thinking about going down to the Montverde Invitational.
Okay, when is that?
27th, 8th, and 9th of this month.
Okay. That'd be good.
Besides JHS, is there just 2 guys that they're recruiting on
the Monteverde team?
Yeah.
Well, they've got KJ Evans on there. And then the other guy I saw on Saturday.
Queen, is it Queen or something?
Oh yeah, Derrick Queen. He didn't play, so I kind of forgot about him. And then there was another kid that was on, I think Legacy EC, Cohen Carr.
Well, that was from last week. I'm talking about the teams that'll be playing in this deal.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know about Derrick Queen. I don't know if he'll play when you go there. I tried to look up.
All right.
He didn't have anything.
So you saw Cohen Carr play. You saw Jalen Hood play. KJ. Who else?
That was the 3 that Indiana.
Okay. All right. Perfect.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and bring us back in from break.
6
Hey, this is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We're now a part of the Rivals Network. TheHoosier.com is where you'll find complete coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, as well as coverage of the Big Ten. Simply go to TheHoosier.com and sign up. It's free. You can also catch Indiana Sports Beat Radio there each day at your convenience, or you can find it any place you podcast or on this station each weekday. If we're not on the station where you live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Welcome back. It is Hump Day, and we are pretty far through. Joined now by Kyler Staley, thehoosier.com recruiting writer. Kyler, how are you?
Doing good. No complaints on my end. Happy to be here. Happy to be here for the first time.
Happy to have you. Lots of action going on last weekend, just up in LaPorte. Great looking gym, man. Love the look of that inside, like a 1920s looking civic auditorium, but some great basketball, some great teams, great players, Jalen Hood-Schifino, an IU commitment. And then, of course, KJ Evans, Cohen Carr, a couple other guys they're looking at up there as well. What was the basketball like?
Oh, it was awesome. I mean, it's just a high caliber. I think it was a total of around 29 kids from the ESPN Top 100 in the 2022s, 23s, and 24 classes. No, it was just high profile. ESPN was covering it, and it was probably one of the biggest events I've ever been to, honestly.
Really? Cool. You mentioned that there were Cohen Carr, KJ Evans, some guys Indiana's looking at. Jalen Hood-Schifino, Indiana's highest commitment, and I guess, is that since Romeo?
Yeah, Romeo or Trace, maybe.
But just playing extremely well.
Yeah.
And he's the kind of guy that I was talking about this earlier. Someone asked, I love what Mike Woodson, how he's building his program. He is not doing it through the portal. You use the portal, but he's not doing it through the portal. He's recruiting. He's a base recruiting base, and he's bringing in better talent. And Jalen Hood-Schifino is one of those better talents. This kid is he's a hell of a point guard, man. He's got a complete package.
Yeah. He's like that NBA style point guard that Woodson's, trying to bring in. He's a little big. He stands at 6'5", thicker. I like to compare his frame to George Hill. Just a little thicker. He's got some really, broad shoulders and everything.
Which is unusual for a point guard.
Yeah.
Having a big point guard is huge.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he had a good weekend when I saw him on Saturday. I think he only had 9 points, but he's playing along with some other high caliber guards. There's a kid that's going to Kentucky on that team, and another kid going to Duke was on that team. So he didn't never really have to take over the game or anything, but he did some good things on there. I don't think he had any turnovers. Had a mean crossover that would turn into pull-ups. Did that a few times. But no, it was a good day for him.
And KJ Evans, Cohen Carr, some guys Indiana are looking at. I think those are both 2023 guys, right?
Yeah, both of them are.
What'd you see from KJ?
Honestly, I didn't see a whole lot from him. He didn't really play all that much. I think he started, but he was taken out almost within the first few minutes of the game. I don't know if it was foul trouble. I can't really remember off the top of my head, but he really didn't do a whole lot. Neither of the forwards that they had on the court didn't really do a whole lot. It was more of the guard play that they had going in. Overall, I looked at his stats the past 3 days at the NIBC, and I think he only averaged over 1.5 points per game. But no, you can tell the talent's there. He's a tall, lean, athletic guy. Can guard both the perimeter and the post. Could probably play on the offensive end, both the perimeter and the post. But no, I think he was probably the highest rated uncommitted player on the floor.
Cohen Carr, what about him? He's kind of a newer name on everybody that they're talking about.
Yeah, he's not really a highly ranked guy in any of the prospect rankings that you see. Like you said, he's kind of came in out of nowhere. Similar build to OG Anunoby, strong lower legs, real explosive player. Out of the three, the Indiana, I guess, were targeting that game. He actually had the best 3-day span. I think he averaged over 15 points per game. Very explosive around the rim. Outside jumper, not really there yet. He only attempted 4, hit 1 out of the 3 days. But no, and he's at his best when he can get out and transition, and the defense can't set up and stop him. But no, he's exciting. Very curious to see where his recruitment goes on from here.
Absolutely. And the fact that now Indiana has that cracked the seal at Montverde, a lot of times that is going to open up a pathway. Now, you're not going to have everybody coming here because guys are going to want to go do their own thing and make their own mark. But when you talk about a program like in Indiana, they're going to get more than one kid from Montverde. I'm more than convinced of that.
Yeah, no, Mount Verde's they are a pretty stacked unit. The thing with KJ is you got the 3 guards that he's kind of playing behind. He's probably the 4th or 5th option on that team. I think next year you'll see him put up a lot more numbers. Just the fact that he has to fall in line in a way, and they're more of a guard team right now. So I think next year you'll see a lot more from him on that unit.
Outside of those 3 guys, any new names popping up?
No. You've got the kids in the state that they're obviously looking at. You got J.Q. Roberts, Bloomington North, and you got Xavier Booker. Those are the 2 main guys.
Speaking of Xavier Booker, I think someone put up top 10 showdown tonight, Carmel versus Cathedral. There you go right there.
Yeah, monster game. I'm definitely going to have to tune in and watch that game tonight. Probably the best game of the week, maybe the best game of the month right there. So huge.
We'll be checking it out. Well, man, I cannot thank you enough. Look forward to talking to you each week and keeping us apprised on what's going on in the world of recruiting Indiana basketball.
Yeah,
make sure you give Kyler Staley a follow. What's your Twitter handle? Let's make sure you start putting your Twitter handle up there.
Just at Kyler Staley. Pretty simple, all lowercase. So you can find me on Twitter. Very active on there. So give me a follow.
There you go. At Kyler Staley from thehoosier.com. Hey, I cannot thank Kyler enough. Bob Kravitz, Rick Bozich, Derrick Jackson, of course, John, the producer. Most importantly, thanks to you guys. Without you all, we don't have a reason to be here, but we are, and we'll be back tomorrow. Headed to Iowa City after that. We'll be in Iowa City for tomorrow night's game. Indiana taking on the Hawkeyes. So make sure you tune in for that as well. So we've got all kinds of things going on. Until tomorrow, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.